Hello everyone, welcome back to Life Point Cap OT90 Challenge. How was reading the first book of the Bible, Genesis? Did you finish it? And I think Genesis is actually rather easier to read because there's so many stories and things happening, unfolding in the book, and stories are familiar to us. So although chapters are longer, I think you're able to finish as you're familiar with it. Now then, starting today, we're going into the second book of the Bible, which is the book of Exodus. Now, at the ending of Genesis, we see Jacob and his sons going down into Egypt and to live in the land of Egypt. And I believe that was part of God's plan and in His sovereignty, especially through their son Joseph. And then in the beginning of Exodus, we see the Israelites. Now we call them the Israelites. They are crying out to God because of the hard work and labor to Pharaoh. So ending of Genesis starts their stay in Egypt. Beginning of Exodus ends their stay in Egypt. So as you know, with the name Exodus, exiting Egypt, you'll see from the first half of the book of Exodus that God is revealing Himself through His power and His presence as God delivers the Israelites out of the bondage of slavery. And that foreshadows unto us where God's presence is with us and God shows His power as God delivered us from the bondage of sin. Now then, the second half of the book of Exodus is actually not easy to read. You know how in the beginning of the year you have New Year's resolution of reading the whole book throughout the year, and you start with Genesis. When you get to Exodus, it's exciting, but then second half, when you start going into some of the laws and so forth, like, God, what are you talking about? And when you go to Leviticus and you just stop, right? So second half of Exodus is rather difficult to read, but I want you to have these two perspectives as you read those laws. First is this: God is revealing Himself through the law. Okay, it's not only the instructions, but then see how God reveals Himself as a revelation through the laws that He's giving. And at the same time, as God has delivered the Israelites out of Egypt from bondage of slavery, that God is giving them instructions, specific instructions as an expectation of God's people. God is saying, I want you to live your lives this way as my people. And God did not leave them hanging, having them do anything and whatever they want to do. Instead of that, God gave specific instructions and guidelines, which is expectations for God's people to behave and to live in a certain way that are set apart for the Lord. Let me end with this. There's a verse that I think highlights the reason or theme of Exodus, and it's in Exodus chapter 6, verse 7. Let me read to you. It says this: I'll take you to be my people, and I'll be your God. And you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. All right, Life Point, let's continue to read and see you soon.